back to yet another segment of Burnt Coverage. I'm your host, Joel.
And I'm Curtis.
And we are doing tight ends. Spit take! Nice!
Love tight ends.
We couldn't start a segment off without a terrible tight end.
I always spit before I do a tight end.
Because you were raised right.
Thank you. Mom turned off the camera.
Mom?
Or Bob turned off the video 20 seconds ago. I'm going to start with my backup tight end when my other tight end's too broken and used to be able to show up. And that's Scott Chandler this week. Scott Chandler, our tight end darling for weekly, daily, and season leagues alike. Coming in 2,500 in DraftKings, 5,300 in FanDuel. Scott Chandler, I got something that'll get Joel back in the fold here.
I'm here, I swear.
I know you are. Scott Chandler playing against the pathetic, terrible, awful, no good, very bad Eagles. Scott Chandler is obviously the short connection for Tom Brady with no Gronk. Gronk has already been ruled out. They say he's week to week. He's probably more like month to month. I don't expect him back for another 2 to 3 weeks in full capacity at least. And Scott Chandler has had success in this league. He was actually the Bills' #1 tight end pre-Charles Clay. Charles Clay usurped him, then moved on to, moved from the Dolphins to the Bills and took over that job. Scott Chandler has had minor success for the Patriots so far this year. However, last week, once Gronk had his troubles, Scott Chandler actually had a 5 for 58 and a touchdown game, so certainly paid off his bottom barrel price. And guess what? DraftKings at 2,500 decided not to even watch that game. They just went and played golf last Sunday and didn't see Scott Chandler was going to take over the job for Gronk and left him at 2,500. The 5,300 in FanDuel is a bit pricey, I understand. If you don't want to play him there. But this is one of those classic situations where everybody's going to play Scott Chandler. Do you want to play Scott Chandler? Well, yes, you want to play Scott Chandler because the Eagles' defense has been horrendous against just about everyone. They've allowed 10 passing touchdowns the last 2 weeks to lesser quarterbacks than Tom Brady. Sorry, Jameis, you're less than Tom Brady. Sorry, Matt Stafford as well. So, it's a week. I'm a little shocked that neither of us have picked any of the wide receivers. There's a little Amendola's banged up. We're still questionable about him. LaFell has had his issues. He hasn't really performed quite to the level that we thought he would be at this point. But Scott Chandler has performed when he's gotten the chance in the past and with the Patriots, and I expect him to do the same this week against Philadelphia.
This is Saturday, and Amendola is still questionable. If Amendola was more than questionable, I would definitely advocate Danny Amendola this week. I think Scott Chandler is the biggest trap play of the week, possibly of the season. Scott Chandler was #1 wide receiver in Buffalo, and was that Buffalo? Were those years in Buffalo an offensive juggernaut? No, Scott Chandler has had a minor amount of success only because he's signed NFL paychecks for the last 10 years. Scott Chandler is fortunate to be in a New England offense. And it might be a volume play because there's no one else to throw to if Amendola doesn't play. But the linebacking core of the Philadelphia Eagles is to be reckoned with. They are very underrated, led by D'Amico Ryans and Michael Kendricks and Kiko Alonso. This is a trap game. He's going to be a very high percentage play this week. He's going to be over 50% played in leagues, and he's not. For 2,500, he's not even going to pay his price this week. This is don't play him, and this is not being me a homer, which I'm sure what my co-host is going to say. But no, this is not. Scott Chandler is not a good tight end. If he was a good tight end, he would be a starting tight end somewhere as opposed to a backup tight end in New England.
What a homer, you know? And first of all, let me just say that anybody's going to be the backup to Gronk. Like, you put Travis Kelce on the Patriots, he's going to back up Gronk.
But as many mediocre tight ends that are in the NFL, if Scott Chandler were mediocre, he could be a starting tight end in the NFL. He's
Scott Chandler
not.
was a starting tight end in the NFL.
But he's not now.
It's not because he's backing up Gronk.
But if he wanted to be, if
there
he
are
had
plenty
the
of
talent-
backups that could start for other teams.
Oh, come on, no.
There are plenty of backups in the league that can start for other teams.
If the Oakland Raiders wanted Scott Chandler, he could be the starting tight end for the Oakland Raiders.
Yes.
But because the Oakland Raiders have no starting tight end, Michael Rivera is their starting tight end. That's an offense that could use a tight end. But they said, no, Scott Chandler, you suck. We don't want you. We'd rather have no tight end.
Sucks strong. I've already seen Chandler perform in this Patriots offense, and they really don't have any other weapons. And 2,500 in DraftKings. So what does it take for him to double his price? Well, first of all, 6 catches for 0 yards would do it. But more than likely,
6 catches? No way.
Well, what about 3 for 30? That would more than double his price. You don't think 3 for 30 is out of the question?
I think it's out of the question.
Out of the question.
Out of the question.
Completely just even though last week, in limited playing time, because after Gronk went down, 5 for 58 and a touchdown happened. So this week, 3 for 30 is out of the question against the worst defense in the NFL.
The worst defense in the NFL. You're already on record of saying the New Orleans Saints are
tied for worst defense in the NFL.
No, there's
I mean,
no
the New Orleans defense haven't given up 10 passing touchdowns.
There's
in the
no
last 2
chance.
weeks.
If anything, this is going to be over.
No chance. Tom Brady.
No.
Tom Brady to me or you.
If anything,
They
like
have 3 for 30.
If anything, like Garrett Blunt scares me in this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have had problems with power rushers between the tackles. I have the utmost confidence in the linebackers. I just think the linebackers will cover Scott Chandler. Scott Chandler is a 31-year-old tight end.
Oh, Joel, sweet Joel. Just learn to know when your beat and when your coach is gonna go out to some college team out west
Already
next
turned down
year.
USC. He's staying.
We'll see.
When Colin Kaepernick is a starting running quarterback and Ryan Matthews is a starting running back next year, and we go 13-3, this all will be a whole different couch.
Oh my God, your hopes are on 2 players that no other team wanted.
I'm just telling you what my gut's telling me.
Your guy got a better tight end pick than Scott Chandler this week.
I do. And that is Jacob Tamme going up against the terrible Tampa Bay Buccaneers off defense this week.
Set myself up for that one.
Yeah, you did. Jacob Tamme is a middle tier tight end this week, but the key to Jacob Tamme being a very strong play this week is Leonard Hankerson is out. In the games that Leonard Hankerson's been out, Jacob Tamme has averaged 8 targets and 6 catches a game because he is the check down receiver, and that's what Hankerson's been playing. So they're going up against Tampa Bay. I just don't think. I think this is a division battle, so it'll be a tightly contested game. But Jacob Tamme, when Hankerson's out, is the strong play. He's going for 3,700 on DraftKings, 5,200 on the duel. I don't see anything wrong with Jacob Tamme this week.
Yeah, me neither. I'm consummate Bucks fan, but he did burn the Bucks for 10 catches last time they met for 105 yards, and that was without Hankerson. And here we go without Hankerson again.
There you go.
That was on 12 targets. He also had a touchdown in the game. And he's been performing very well in this offense. And as we know, Tamme is no Tony Gonzalez, but this is an offense that likes to feature a tight end if they can. Tamme has had production in the past, mostly with Peyton Manning as a receiving tight end. I think that will continue. The price doesn't scare me. And we're in a week, too, where, as much as people play Scott Chandler, I see a lot of people playing Greg Olsen this week as well. Greg Olsen against the Saints that we're also fond of defense. So it's going to leave a lot of mid-range players open, and one of these mid-range players is going to produce probably better than both of these other guys. Don't know who it is, but it could definitely be Tammy, and he's done it before against this Tampa team.
Agreed.
Good. Speaking of mid-range players that might do well, I'm gonna also go in my Wayback Machine and pick a retread tight end that has had a renaissance of sorts this year, and that's Benjamin Watson. He's DraftKings 4,400, FanDuel 5,300 versus the vaunted Carolina defense. Yes, Carolina defense is very good. Most of that defense, though, at least in the passing game, is based on the play of Greg Norman. Greg Norman is a cornerback, and he will be covering Brandon Cooks. Also, the Saints are without Willie Snead this week, listed as doubtful right now, which is never good on a Saturday. So I expect him to be out, and it leaves very few options left in the passing game for Drew Brees, who, as we know, loves to pass. We only have Marcus Colston, who is fallen off the face of a cliff the past 2 or 3 years. Brandon Coleman, who's still learning the offense, has been decent in spot appearances but cannot carry a team in the passing game. And then Benjamin Watson, who has been a revelation at the tight end position, 100-yard games, multi-touchdown games. Last week was one of his worst games of the year. He only had 4 catches for 53 yards, which is still 9 points in DraftKings. So I see that as his floor. He's had a couple of solid games, including a 9-catch, 147 in a touchdown game, and a 10-catch, 127 in a touchdown game. So I look for Benjamin Watson to be the primary target of a Drew Brees-led offense this week.
So we're going to move on to what I know best, and that is picking tight ends for the San Francisco 49ers.
Wait, that's it? Nothing?
I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing on Benjamin Watson?
No, he's
For, against?
It's a terrible play.
Well, say terrible play. I mean, come on. No quick pro quo.
It's Ben Watson. It's like playing Scott Chandler. I don't want to play either of them.
All right. Well, good. I can't wait to denounce whatever terrible pick you have next.
Vance McDonald, San Francisco 49ers going up against the Chicago Bears this week. Vance McDonald, last week, he's caught touchdowns in 2 straight weeks. Last week he caught 6 to 7 for 71 yards and a touchdown going against the very good Arizona Cardinals defense. And the one thing that Vance McDonald has going for him is that they no longer have my favorite tight end in San Francisco, Garrett Sell. Garrett Sell is out with an ankle injury this week, so that means there is no competition on offense for receiving in this game. The running back Sean Drone. Sean Drone doesn't scare anyone, although Sean Drone has played very well. The entire San Francisco offense has played better than I think anyone anticipated. Vance McDonald, 2 touchdowns in 2 straight weeks. He is the focal point in the passing game. And for the dirt cheap prices of $3,000 on DraftKings and $4,900 on FanDuel, I really think that if you want to go value play, it's going to be Vance McDonald.
So many things wrong, and just based off of the words that come out of your mouth in this very segment. So, Scott Chandler is a terrible tight end because he's not starting anywhere. You're advocating the 3rd tight end for the 49ers after Vernon Davis got traded, and then Garrett Selleck is out with an ankle
Well, that's why
injury.
they traded Vernon Davis, because they had Vance
Oh, because
McDonald.
they had Vance McDonald. They didn't
Of course.
start him. They started
Naturally.
Selleck, just kind of doing it.
Trade because you have depth.
And then Scott Chandler's quarterback is all-world, future Hall of Famer, greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. And Vance McDonald's quarterback is Blaine Gabbert, who I wouldn't hire to... What?
How many yards did he throw for last week?
I think he broke 300
He
last
did
week.
throw for 330 yards last week.
Has Tom Brady ever thrown for 300 yards? I don't know.
This is a tight end segment. Stick with it.
Yeah. This is a ridiculous play, and it's 500 more than Scott Chandler. And as we know, the Brady-led Patriot offense loves to throw their tight ends. This is a ridiculous pick. This is like, if you wouldn't have attacked my Scott Chandler pick so much, I'd be a little more behind.
You know what
here.
this sounds like? This sounds like the last time, the mockery that I'm getting from this side of the couch, sounds like the last time that I picked a San Francisco tight end. That's the last time I was mocked this much for picking a low-end tight end like this. And what did Garrett sell to the week I picked him?
He had 2 catches.
For what?
2 touchdowns.
For 2 touchdowns. So, bring the mockery on, because I know a tight end.
So, wing and a prayer.
Not a wing and a prayer.
Wing and a prayer.
They're going.
Vance McDonald.
They're going up against Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears, granted, are very
Talk
good.
about boomer bust.
No, who else are they going to throw to? Who else?
Anquan Bolden? Who?
What?
What? Huh?
What?
Huh?
When?
Anquan Bolden's had 2 consecutive weeks of over 90 yards and 8 receptions.
Oh, and those are his only 2 weeks this season.
Yeah, and they're both with Blaine Gabbert. So what's gonna change about that?
Blaine Gabbert has a walker with tennis balls on it.
I don't think Vance McDonald's a terrible play.
That's what you just said.
I don't think it's a terrible play.
You just said
but
it's a
in the
terrible
context of other tight ends we could pick, Chandler's $500 cheaper, and we have many
You know why Scott Chandler is
middle
$500
price-
cheaper? Because they have more options on that offense. The San Francisco 49ers has
a hobbled
have no-
Amendola and then a drop-prone Brandon LaFell.
You don't think Brady's going to force feed Brandon LaFell against Mr. Burnt Coverage Byron Maxwell?
Hey,
according
neither
to
of
you?
us picked Brandon LaFell.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
But
about it. I might
like,
still throw him in there.
you're always so
somewhere,
down
but-
on Byron Maxwell because you don't think that that's who Brady's going to pick on? You think he's going to pick on Michael Kendricks?
I just don't know where this whole Blaine Gabbert love of the tight end comes from.
I didn't advocate Blaine Gabbert.
You advocate all of his tight ends every week.
Have I been wrong yet?
And this is why our
Not
tight end segments.
Not once.
For
have
some
I been
reason,
wrong.
tight end segments are our most heated on the couch here. It might be the booze. Some would say it's the booze. Are you saying it's the booze? I'm not drunk. I can walk the line. Fuck you.
Very
But it might
generous.
be the booze. Tight ends. Is that it?
I did too.
I did too.
We
Nothing
did-
like doing
we
2
did-
tight ends on the couch.
We did 4 tight ends today.
Right here, right in front of you on camera.
You like that?
Yeah. Did you like it? Don't tell anybody where you
Alright,
saw
this
this.
is too alright. I'm the flag and play. Too much.
Do it.
Too much.
I'm Curtis,
And I'm Joel.
and we hope to see you next week if we're not arrested.
Yo necesito help.
Week 13's all a wrap. Make sure you check out our other segments, and we'll see you next time.
On the couch.
Bye.